We're saying welcome to Tanks Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video, editors only. The investment top today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, I just want to say happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everyone had a great weekend so far. And also, happy Father's Day to the ones that are in the US. And happy belated Father's Day for the ones that are listening internationally as well. With respect to this morning, as I woke up earlier today, I woke up around like 7:30 a.m. So relatively early riser for a weekender, if you may. Ethereum's currently down about 5.66%, trading around like the $2,060 mark. And with respect to Bitcoin, respectively, it's down about 5.4%, which is trading around like the $33,600 mark, respectively, as well. With respect to the crypto sell-off on a macro perspective, the catalyst of really driving the sell is mainly coming from a media affectation. A news article that came out last night, again from the Federal Reserve, and I think the article came out around like 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast last night in the US, with respect to the St. Louis Federal Reserve President James Bullard. He has signaled that the interest rate could potentially rise by end of this year, or the latest by 2022. And on a high level, based on Bullard's verbiage in his depictions, he expects a good year ahead of us, right, with respect to the US economy and the global economy to revive post-pandemic. However, with respect to the latest CPI report that we got, right, the CPI report depicted that the inflationary affectation might be a little bit higher than expected per James Bullard. So his affectation and his expectation is that the inflationary affectation is higher than his expectations, which subsequently he believes that it's natural that we might tilt more towards the hawkish side of the spectrum to contain the inflationary pressure that we might be sustaining going forward, right? So if you put that in a more of a quantitative perspective, right, Bowler is basically suggesting that in the future, the inflations could run at 3% this year and then 2.5% in 2022, and then subsequently or ideally drifting it back down to 2%, which is the Federal Reserve targets that we've been sustaining historically. However, in the relative perspective, right, based on the FOMC meeting that we have with Jerome Powell on Wednesday specifically, Jerome's depiction is that he indicated that the rate hike would ideally come much later, right, by 2023 instead of 2022 or later this year. With subsequently, with respect to this affectation, anticipating that the U.S. economy is going to revive up, it subsequently have that same propellant towards the U.S. dollar strength, which subsequently, as the U.S. dollar appreciates, will simultaneously drive off some selling pressure across the whole equity market, but also on the crypto market at the same time, which is the reason why, with the news that we got from James Bullard last night, drove some selling pressure across the crypto market. So I'm going to go through a technical analysis to look at this. How is this macro news going to be shaking out with respect to the technical analysis? I'm going to identify the key resistance level that you guys need to look out for, and my price prediction for year in 2021 as well. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, and I'm recording this as of 8:26 a.m. on the East Coast right now. You can see that we're down about 6.24%, trading around like the $2,048-ish level. And with respect to the sell-off, despite today being a Sunday, which, in the 4 consecutive Sundays that we've had historically, Sundays has typically been more of a relatively greener day in comparisons to the weekend, which we have that weekend affectation, which subsequently drives a rebound. However, because of the fact that we have this like triple whammy this time, right? We had the positive FOMC meeting, which subsequently drive the equity market, so we have some selling pressure on the crypto side, which anti-correlates. And also on top of that, with respect to the article that we got last night from James Bullard, also have a depictions around the foreshadow of the inflation, which subsequently shift the timing of it in comparisons to Jerome's expectation, which also have another negative affectations to the crypto market as well. So definitely, it's been a lot of bearish news that's been occurring in the crypto market side, which subsequently drive this subsequent sell-off. But you could see the sell-off that we see in front of us is relatively gradual. You could see the resistance level that we've tested pretty much confirms like multiple times on each occasions, despite these consecutive negative news that's been happening ever since on the 15th, which is the on Tuesday, the anticipation of the FOMC meeting, right? So with respect to the level that we should be looking out for going forward, knowing the fact that we are basically bouncing our head against one of the critical psychological resistance level, right? Firstly, this is the $2,000 mark, right? $2,000 are typically psychological mental level that people ideally want to buy at, or either need to push upward to break that resistance, or that support level, right? And with respect to this support level, I would say this is a relatively substantial support level based on just historical charts, right? You can see that we have tested this once, twice, right? And if you go back a thousand times here, I mean, I'm exaggerating, not a thousand times, but at least like if I count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm not even going to count so many times, right? So the 2000 level is definitely a psychological resistance level that's highly substantive, very strong consolidation level, right? And you could see that, I probably missed it already a little bit. You could see that ever since this early morning, and I would say if I look back the clock on Coinbase or like on Robinhood, if you look back, you could see that we sold off even further, lower, sometimes around like 6:15 a.m. when I was dead asleep still. That we subsequently rebounded from there because that level was just highly submerged right now, right? On top of the fact that we are highly submerged already, if you look at the technical analysis, right? So where is he going forward from here, right, for the rest of the day, despite this news being baked in already? I do not foresee more selling pressure going forward. And I can tell you exactly why. Knowing the fact that the RSI is extremely submerged right now, we are way into the crust of the earth right now, right? And as we go down even further and further, it needs another major catalyst for us to push there, right? I would be more worried if the RSI was higher from here. That means we have a little bit more room for us to drop from there. But because of the fact that we are already at the floor, right? How likely can you drill the floor to go down even further below the floor, right? With this level of pressure, right? Because of the fact that, remember, we have sold off from the top already, from the $2,600 level. So we sold off about $600 so far, right? You can see that the MACD has relatively crossed, right? And you can see that cross section is not a word, the cross section right here is relatively wider in comparison to the other ones. So that tells me a lot about this is an outlier affectation that's driving this. Obviously coming from the catalyst news that we got from the media affectation, right? So right now we are forming an outlier into the trends, right? And we are highly submerged right now. That eventually we're gonna bounce back up from the $2,052 level, which we are already doing. If I'm speaking, no, I think I spoke for like maybe 5 minutes so far, and then we are already rebounding slowly from there, right? So I think what I see going forward, like if you were to buy in right now, I actually plan on buying it today. So I'm probably after this, I'm gonna buy 5 Ethereum right now, at this level because it's a very strong level because of this sell-off that we've had so far. This is like about more than 10% sell-off so far, within the last couple of days. So I'm gonna buy 5 Ethereum today because I was expecting to buy as we hit below the $2,100 level, right? Because again, that's a very strong level to buy. So I love buying at these level between the 2,150 and between $2,050 level. Are we gonna be breaking down even further, right? If you look closer, I think if we break down, we have a pretty steep fall to go down to. We will potentially go down all the way to the level of 1750, which you can see if you look at it how it correlates historically. We correlate this once, correlate this twice, and then we have that here. But knowing the fact that we are already so submerged that for us to get down even more, that's a black swan event then, right? Unless we get a really negative article tomorrow again, right, consecutively, that's like 3, 4 articles that's been negative, pushing it down, right? I think the catalysts are pretty much baked in already, right? Contingent on no more negative news, right? But again, news or media affectations are most of the time manipulative, right? They try to influence gullible investors into executing the trades based on emotions, right? But if you believe truly in the long-term value proposition of Ethereum, if you believe in just basic supply and demand dynamics going forward, we know that we are bound for a rebound coming up, right? And the RSI is telling you so. The MACD is slowly coming back up. I think we might have to go back to the 2000s, to 2001, $2020 level, which is a more substantive level based on historical trends. And then we should be bouncing back up, right? And the first level of testing would be the 2150, and we should be testing 2250, right? And we should be testing 2450, which are basically one, two, three psychological resistance level that we've tested before, right? And for you to retest these, it provides more substantial support going forward, because each of the testing of a rebound for us to get back to the resistance level forms another mental level of consolidation, right? Which provides more substance. We want substance as we build the foundations of an asset, right? And that's a good sign. And with respect to the wedge I drew before, you could see the green wedge, right? I think the wedge is basically broken. So I think we can delete this now. We don't need to look at the upward wedge that we were talking about before, because the formation is completely broken. I see this is more of a downward wedge at the moment, and downward wedge are oftentimes very bullish, right? If you look at like the stock prices for Tesla, if you look at Bitcoin, as you get the wedge in the wider side and you keep going down, 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 your pressure is going to increase dramatically to the point that you will propel up going forward. And I could explain that, the concepts a little bit more if you're interested in learning more. But the concept is relatively the same for an upward wedge, but it's just in the opposition, if you may. But long-term wise, I'm definitely bullish. Short-term wise, we might see a little bit of a selling pressure, but I do see recovery coming because we are oscillating. There's no specific reason why we are going to be crashing down, because that will require a lot of corporate sellers to sell. And even though if we sell, I would just be buying. So I'm going to be buying today. I'm going to be buying 5 Ethereum, so I would totally have about 40 Ethereum now, which is a good amount that I'm holding. Just to recap on all the numbers that we're talking about, with respect to the current level around like the $2,050 level, I think that's an extremely attractive level, knowing that fact that's the range that I've always expected to buy. And I'm going to buy 5 Ethereum today. Hoping that I could get that close to the $2,000 mark, or $2,030 mark to be more exact. That's an extremely strong substantive consolidation level that we've tested. Again, I show you in the chart 15 times at least historically. So that's a great level. But if we break that, we'll fall straight down to the 1750. But knowing the fact that the MACD and RSI are already highly oversold, the likelihood of us like breaking through the earth crust to get there to drill more oil, it's very, very unlikely, and the logics in the charts don't make sense if we were there. It would just make no sense. People have to sell a lot on loss for us to get there, which, if you think about that logically, that would just not be a logical occurrence, right? So 1750, very unlikely, but if we do, I'm going to be right there with you buying. And with respect to corporate adoption, 20%, 12 months price target, $9,000. All right, so that's it for there with respect to my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully this gives you more clarity and transparencies on how to triangulate both the macro news and also the microeconomics of Ethereum, and how you could look at that in a more of a technical perspective to translate that into the price point of executions for yourself going forward. But anyways, today's a Sunday and it's just Father's Day as well. So, definitely try to stay away from your Coinbase app or your Binance app if you may, or stop looking at your price. This is supposed to logically happen. And with this news, it's just more of a small fluff, if you may, right? If you believe in the long-term vision, you believe in business fundamental going forward, this is nothing to worry about. It's very logical, right? I plan on buying right after this video, and I'm very excited to do so and build up my position to 40 Ethereum now. So definitely a great Father's Day for my dad and for myself. I guess I'm not a father yet, but anyways, that's a joke for another time. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend, a great time, and enjoy the rest of the day. And please watch out for the next video coming up. Take care. Bye.